I never imagined that reconnecting with Lila after all these years would lead to the biggest shock of my life. We had been childhood friends, awkwardly close in high school, and I had nursed a crush on her for years. When we bumped into each other at the reunion, we laughed about old memories, swapped numbers, and reminisced about the small town where we had grown up. One evening, over beers and nostalgia, she jokingly suggested we take a couple's DNA test for fun, to see how compatible we were. I agreed, thinking it would be a silly little experiment, nothing serious. But when the results arrived, my world stopped. The report didn't say what we expected. It wasn't about compatibility percentages or ancestry. It said something horrifying. Lila and I shared the same father. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking, heart pounding. I couldn't breathe. My mind spun in disbelief. The father I had trusted, loved, and respected had kept a lifelong secret. And Lila, my crush, my closest friend, was actually my half-sister. I felt like I had been punched, slammed, and betrayed all at once. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story isn't just shocking, it's life-changing. When we met to talk in person, the tension was unbearable. Lila's eyes were wide with disbelief, mirroring my own. This can't be real," she whispered, voice trembling. I handed her the printout, the document confirming the DNA match. She stared at it as if it were a lie, a cruel joke we didn't understand. I felt my chest tighten, my stomach churn. How had our father kept this secret for decades? The father we trusted, the man who had taught us values, had been living a double life, fathering children in 2 towns. As we pieced together stories, coincidences, and half-remembered hints, the truth became undeniable. He had manipulated everything. 2 families, 2 childhoods, 2 sets of memories, and 1 life of deception. The betrayal was staggering. My affection for Lila clashed violently with the reality of our blood tie. We were forced to redefine our relationship instantly, from potential lovers to siblings. We decided together that silence was no longer an option. We had to understand fully, gather evidence, and confront the man who had built our lives on lies. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because what comes next is unbelievable. We began our own investigation, combing through old photos, birth certificates, and financial records. Everything we found pointed to meticulous planning by our father. He had spent decades hiding his double life, maintaining appearances in both towns, carefully manipulating friends, relatives, and even us. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank transfers, property documents, letters, and old photographs revealed the scale of his deception. Each discovery added weight to our anger and disbelief. How could someone we loved and respected orchestrate such an elaborate lie? Yet, despite the betrayal, there was relief. We now knew the truth, and the truth gave us power. With the help of a lawyer, we began exploring legal avenues to hold him accountable. Child support for both families was a possibility, and we were determined to ensure he faced the consequences of his decades of lies. It was terrifying yet empowering. Every night we worked together, discussing strategies, sharing memories that suddenly took on new meaning, and supporting each other through waves of grief, anger, and confusion. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because the journey from love to revelation is only beginning. The first confrontation with our father was tense beyond words. Sitting across from him in the living room, I watched him carefully choose each word. "Daniel." "Lila," he began, his voice calm, too calm. "You weren't supposed to find out like this." My hands tightened into fists, but I forced myself to stay composed. Lila's expression was unreadable, a mix of hurt and disbelief. He explained, slowly, that he had lived 2 lives to provide for both families, claiming love and responsibility. But the words sounded hollow, rehearsed, like a man who had memorized excuses for decades. I wanted to shout, to punch, to scream, but the overwhelming sense of betrayal pinned me in place. Every story he had told, every moment of our childhood, now carried the weight of lies. The shock was paralyzing, yet amidst it, a spark of determination flickered. We wouldn't just endure this. We would fight, demand accountability, and reclaim the truth. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because confronting deception is the first step toward justice. Late nights were spent piecing together our father's history, tracing his movements, uncovering documents, and cross-checking stories with neighbors and old friends. The scale of his deception was staggering. He had created 2 entire lives, raising children unaware of the other existence. Every photograph we discovered, every ledger we examined was a piece of the puzzle. Lila and I worked tirelessly, learning more about our father's manipulation with each passing day. Anger, confusion, and grief washed over us, yet we found solace in each other. We laughed bitterly at the absurdity of our situation, marveling at how meticulously our father had hidden the truth. But even in humor, the pain was palpable. The legal path forward was clear: confront, expose, and seek justice. Sharing our discoveries online felt natural. People needed to understand the complexity, the betrayal, and the courage it took to face the truth. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe because the story only grows more shocking from here. The court case began to take shape after weeks of preparation. Lila and I met with lawyers, historians, and family friends who had observed our father's life from different angles. Every detail mattered: financial records, birth certificates, personal letters, and old photographs. The more evidence we collected, the more meticulous the story became. I couldn't help but feel a strange combination of anger, awe, and disbelief at his brilliance in hiding a dual life for decades. The courtroom became a theater of truths finally revealed. Witnesses recounted small hints, oddities, and moments that now made sense only in the context of his deception. Lila and I had to keep our emotions in check as we recounted the story of betrayal, love, and secrecy. We documented everything carefully, both for legal purposes and for the world watching online. Like, comment, share, and subscribe because the truth we uncovered will shock anyone who believes family is simple. During the hearings, I saw our father's mask crack. The calm composure he had always carried faltered as lawyers confronted him with irrefutable evidence. Each bank transfer, each property deed, and each timeline discrepancy made him shift uncomfortably in his chair. I felt vindicated but also exhausted emotionally. The courtroom became a battleground of morality, law, and personal history. Lila and I realized that this was more than a legal battle. It was a confrontation with decades of lies that had shaped both of our lives. For the first time, we truly understood how far someone could go to hide a truth. It was heartbreaking yet empowering. Every truth exposed strengthened our bond. And I reminded viewers once again: like, comment, share, and subscribe, because uncovering family secrets can be terrifying yet life-changing. The more witnesses spoke, the clearer the picture became. Neighbors, friends, and extended family members testified about suspicious events that now fit perfectly into the narrative of a double life. I could see Lila's resolve strengthening, her posture firm, eyes bright with determination. We realized that although our father's deception had harmed both families, exposing it was an act of liberation. The betrayal was undeniable, but so was our courage. We had uncovered decades of lies, and the world was about to see the full scope. My chest tightened as I imagined the moment our father would have to confront the consequences publicly. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe because the drama unfolding is almost unbelievable. The media caught wind of the story. What had started as a private investigation exploded online and in local news outlets. Headlines screamed about a man who had lived a double life, fathering children in two towns while hiding decades of deceit. Lila and I felt both exposed and vindicated. Strangers reached out to offer support, to share their own family secrets, and to applaud our bravery. The narrative became bigger than just us. It became a story about morality, secrecy, and the consequences of living a lie. We documented every moment, preparing content for our audience. I reminded viewers again: like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story is stranger than fiction, and the truth is still unfolding. Lila and I spent hours reflecting on how our lives had diverged, even as we shared the same blood. The experiences, struggles, and choices we had faced were unique, shaped by our father's deception. Yet, we had found each other, and that bond was unbreakable. We laughed, cried, and occasionally argued about what the future would hold. Despite the emotional turmoil, there was joy in reclaiming the truth. Together, we navigated the complexities of identity, family, and morality, understanding that love and betrayal could coexist in ways that were painfully human. Like, comment, share, and subscribe because the next revelations will test even your sense of reality. Our father's defense faltered as the trial progressed. Attempts to justify his actions with love, provision, and necessity fell flat under the weight of legal evidence. Each revelation about his dual households and financial manipulations strengthened our case. I felt a surge of empowerment every time evidence was presented correctly, knowing that justice was being served, even if it could never undo the years of deception. Lila and I became a team, supporting each other through waves of anger, disbelief, and relief. The courtroom had become a space where decades-long secrets were finally confronted. And as always, I reminded viewers: like, comment, share, and subscribe because the story only deepens from here. Our father's defense faltered as the trial progressed. Attempts to justify his actions with love, provision, and necessity fell flat under the weight of legal evidence. Each revelation about his dual households and financial manipulations strengthened our case. I felt a surge of empowerment every time evidence was presented correctly, knowing that justice was being served, even if it could never undo the years of deception. Lila and I became a team, supporting each other through waves of anger, disbelief, and relief. The courtroom had become a space where decades-long secrets were finally confronted. And as always, I reminded viewers, like, comment, share, and subscribe because the story only deepens from here. We interviewed people from both towns, neighbors and former family friends who had noticed oddities over the years. Their testimonies filled in gaps, revealing subtle manipulations and small lies that had gone unnoticed. It became clear how meticulously our father had engineered his life, ensuring neither family suspected the other. Lila and I were stunned at his cunning but also grateful for the clarity it brought. We could finally tell our story without fear of being disbelieved. Each discovery strengthened our resolve. Sharing this online felt like a release, a way to process the grief and betrayal while connecting with viewers who might face similar truths. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe because this is about confronting deception head-on. We also uncovered hidden financial records, showing that our father had funneled money between families to maintain appearances. The lengths he had gone to were both impressive and horrifying. I felt rage and fascination in equal measure, unable to reconcile the father I had known with the man revealed through documents and testimony. Yet, in Lila's company I felt a steady anchor. We supported each other as siblings, not just co-plaintiffs facing a shared trauma that bound us in ways nothing else could. We documented everything meticulously, ensuring the story would be both factual and emotionally gripping. Like, comment, share, and subscribe because what we found will leave you questioning trust and family. Every court session felt like a roller coaster. Our father occasionally tried to manipulate the narrative, appealing to sentiment and selective memory, but we countered with facts, evidence, and sworn testimonies. The contrast between our lives and his constructed image of generosity was stark. We weren't just fighting for money or recognition, we were fighting for the truth and the right to have our childhoods acknowledged. I realized that exposing deception, no matter how painful, was an act of liberation. Sharing the journey online made it feel even more real, as if viewers were sitting with us through every emotional twist. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe because the story only becomes more intense. The emotional toll was heavy. Lila and I spent nights crying, sometimes in silence, sometimes sharing memories of the past that now seemed tainted by lies. Our father's betrayal had shaped our identities, and confronting it forced us to redefine who we were. Despite everything, we found laughter in small things. How alike we were, the similarities in our mannerisms, even our tastes in food and music. These moments reminded us that blood connection wasn't the problem, it was deceit. And as we pieced together our sibling bond, I reminded viewers again. Like, comment, share, and subscribe because family secrets have layers you can't imagine. As legal proceedings continued, the public became fascinated by the story. Online forums, news outlets, and social media debates erupted about morality, parenting, and the ethics of hidden lives. We watched as strangers tried to rationalize our father's actions, and others defended us, applauding our courage. The story had grown beyond our personal experience and we embraced it. Lila and I began producing content that documented our journey, focusing on honesty, the consequences of lies, and the power of resilience. Each upload included reminders. Like, comment, share, and subscribe because real-life drama can be stranger than fiction. The trial revealed even more secrets, including evidence of our father's manipulations in professional circles and social relationships. Witnesses described moments that had seemed insignificant but now painted a vivid picture of calculated deception. Lila and I were shocked at how much had gone unnoticed for years. But instead of despairing, we felt empowered. By confronting these truths, we reclaimed our lives from the shadow of his lies. Documenting it online allowed us to share lessons learned, warning others about the dangers of hidden family secrets. Like, comment, share, and subscribe because truth, exposure, and courage can reshape lives. Finally, the courtroom drama reached its climax. Our father had to answer for the years of deceit, and the judge acknowledged the emotional and financial harm inflicted on both families. The verdict didn't erase the past, but it validated our struggle and efforts. Lila and I felt a surge of relief, mixed with lingering sadness for the lost years. We hugged, laughed, and cried, knowing our bond had survived the ultimate betrayal. Sharing this moment online, I reminded viewers, like, comment, share, and subscribe because triumph over deception is as emotional as it is rewarding. Rebuilding our relationship took time. Lila and I had missed out on years of shared experiences, but we were determined to make up for them. Weekend trips, long conversations, and simple moments together became priceless. We celebrated birthdays, holidays, and milestones as siblings who had finally found each other. The trauma of our father's deceit would never fully disappear, but the love and understanding we developed made it manageable. And I reminded viewers once more: like, comment, share, and subscribe, because discovering your sibling after decades of deception is both devastating and miraculous. Reflecting on the journey, I realized that life is unpredictable, and family can be complicated in ways no one expects. Betrayal, love, deception, and courage coexist in strange ways, shaping identities and relationships. Lila and I had confronted one of the most shocking secrets imaginable, yet we emerged stronger, closer, and more resilient. Our story became a testament to the power of truth, sibling bonds, and facing harsh realities head-on. Sharing it online was cathartic, allowing others to witness, empathize, and learn. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because the journey from love to revelation is something you have to experience to believe. As the media frenzy died down, Lila and I focused on creating a meaningful life together as siblings. We explored shared interests, discovered uncanny similarities, and laughed about our mirrored traits. Even the smallest moments carried the weight of years lost, yet we cherished them fully. The discovery that we were half-siblings reshaped our identities, strengthened our bond, and gave us purpose. We continued documenting our story, emphasizing lessons of courage, accountability, and the impact of hidden truths. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, because embracing truth can transform your life. We reached out to both extended families, carefully navigating emotions, tensions, and old resentments. It wasn't easy, anger and disbelief lingered, but over time, people began to accept the truth. Holidays and gatherings became opportunities to heal and reconnect. Lila and I felt a sense of achievement, knowing that by confronting lies, we created space for honesty, understanding, and family reconciliation. Every step forward was both bittersweet and empowering. And I reminded viewers: like, comment, share, and subscribe, because exposing deception can ultimately bring healing. The emotional roller coaster wasn't over. Some days brought anger, others relief, and still others moments of joy that felt almost surreal. Lila and I leaned on each other constantly, recognizing that no outside validation could replace the bond we had rebuilt. Our father's deception had shaped both of our lives, but it no longer defined us. Instead, our courage, resilience, and honesty now guided the path forward. Sharing this journey online reinforced our mission: to educate, inspire, and warn others about hidden family secrets. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because our story proves that truth is both painful and liberating. We also explored the psychological impact of our father's deception with therapists and counselors. Understanding how the lies affected both our childhoods helped us process lingering emotions. We learned to cope with grief, betrayal, and shock while embracing newfound clarity. The sibling bond we had discovered became a foundation for healing, trust, and shared experiences. Documenting these insights online allowed others to connect and feel less alone. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because the path to understanding family secrets is emotional, intense, and often necessary. Ultimately, Lila and I discovered that despite everything, our bond was unbreakable. Years of deception couldn't erase the connection we had found, nor the shared DNA that tied our lives together. We focused on the present, creating memories, supporting each other, and embracing the sibling relationship we had always deserved. The story of our father's lies remained shocking, but our courage and resilience defined us more than his betrayal ever could. I reminded viewers once more: like, comment, share, and subscribe, because even the darkest family secrets can lead to the most powerful discoveries.